Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. And sorry about the lighting. This is the best I got. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Today is kind of a cool little short episode. It's going to be just day in the life of a commercial real estate entrepreneur, such as myself, and kind of like the ins and outs of the business when you're trying to get started and trying to establish those relationships in different markets. So, um, yeah, let me just walk you through kind of like what I experience like on a day-to-day basis through real estate. So first off, when I start my day, obviously I have a nice cup of tea and some breakfast, some fruits, just to keep my calorie intake going up and making sure that I'm feeling good and healthy in the morning. So that is number one. Obviously, brush your teeth and take a shower too. So yeah, and then so the first thing that I do is I read articles. So I read articles, reports. I attend like webinars or like past recorded webinars just to get an idea of how markets are operating and kind of like the data behind the decision making. So whether that's reports from Yardi Matrix, RealPage, brokerage reports, or even just like brushing up on some capital market terms, right? So like the debt markets, knowing the ins and outs of a term sheet, right? How like the debt markets are currently seeing right now, like what the outlook is right now. So I like to just like mix it up a little bit in the morning, just so I can kind of keep my mind fresh and start the day. So yeah, and so that's what I do in the morning. And I also just narrow down maybe like three or four markets. They could be secondary markets, major metros. And that's where I kind of dig a little bit more deeper into that. Find some interesting resources from different like brokerage firms or other companies that post resources. So that's where I get more locally involved with like a market. So that's what I do probably in the morning, just like knowing which markets that I'm going to be focusing on that date and having a plan and a decision-making plan based off of that. So that's the first thing in the morning that I do. Next, I would say if there are some meetings that I may have scheduled like in the past, I usually do those meetings like whether that's like with developers, with like prop tech companies, or construction companies. I always schedule those in the morning so that I can kind of talk like my brain is now active. I have more insight. I'm able to talk at a higher level, right? So that's what I would do. I structure it like probably like from 9 to like maybe 10:30 is when I have some of those meetings. And that's a great way to learn about how developer activity is going, their investment decision processes, and how they go about bringing a property to life, right? So yeah, definitely. So developers, prop tech companies, and construction companies, those are some really great resources that I would suggest in a local market just to reach out to a few people that are within those firms. So yeah, and then next thing I would say, I do like a little bit of marketing and recruiting, I would say. So on the recruiting aspect, obviously you have Indeed, you have Fiverr, you have other types of, I think Upwork as well. Upwork is great. So that's where you can find some independent contractors. You can also find some virtual assistants where you can potentially find out if you want to delegate some tasks that could be kind of like taking up a lot of your time. So that's where I do a little bit of recruiting there, maybe have some interviews. So yeah, that I would say that's that. And then for marketing, I would say just like either filming like maybe one of these podcasts or maybe making some social media posts on Facebook and kind of doing my own little twist on marketing, like email marketing or something like that. right? So that's as far as the marketing and recruiting. The other thing after that, I would say, is just underwriting a few deals. I think that's really great to just get right into. And just if you have those deals kind of lined up from yesterday, let's say if you sourced a few deals from like the platforms that you use, have those ready and see if those returns kind of work out for you, or also just perform like your basic or your even complex investment analysis of that, right? So 2 to 3 deals, I would say. Sometimes it gets up there, maybe like even 4 or 6, depends on which markets are really looking hot. So yeah, and then I would, after underwriting, reach out to those brokers, learn more about how the property is performing. And even before that, you should always kind of just request all of the necessary documents that you need to underwrite it thoroughly. So whether that's T12 rent rules, some general ledger, or some type of documents that you need to do your financial feasibility, I think you should request that off the bat. And once you kind of see it through, then have that longer discussion with that agent, and see if it's something that you can make a solid offer on. So yeah, that's that. And the main thing that I really take away is, like, when you're talking with brokers, especially a market that you're unfamiliar with, it's really important to just listen and learn. Obviously ask like the more important questions, such as demographics, the sales activity, the volume that's in the market, developer activity, the construction pipeline there. It's good to ask those questions, but just learn how that local market is performing, you know, whether that's let's say like a big retailer came into the market, there's going to be an inflow of jobs, some cool insights like that. So just keep asking these questions to brokers. I think it's really vital to just learn that market thoroughly before making any major investment decision, right? So yeah, so that's takeaway from my end, is just learn as much as you can from that market. The next thing I would say, so say if you are kind of narrowing down maybe like 2 or 3 markets that you really like the best, then it's good to start reaching out to some local developers, investors, contractors, property management companies. This is a great way to just learn how the activity in the market is, and then ultimately how these properties are being managed, right? So if you get a good idea of what the developers and investors are doing, how their properties are actually performing, and if you get an idea of like the contractors' past projects, and what type of work that they did, if that fits your criteria as well, such as like maybe a value add project, or even like a gut out renovation, that's good to just have those contacts kind of in your database, right? And then for property management companies, it could be kind of a mix of like a brokerage house plus a property management company that does like through their own software. And just, I think I've made a video of how to approach property management companies in the right way, ask the right questions, how they go about their business, right? So I think you can probably find that in my video list. But yeah, those are great things to just reach out, because this is literally the lifeblood of I would say the execution of commercial real estate. Really, it's good if you can kind of get it under contract. You can analyze a market thoroughly and kind of have solid investment thesis around it. But if you don't have that execution, at the end of the day, that property is not going to perform, and you're not going to meet the returns that you envisioned. So that's really important. I would say just reach out to those great contacts. Now, if the deal is, if you go through the LOI process, and you're starting to draft that PSA, then it's the best time to start reaching out to your attorney. Make sure you have all your legal docs in line, and all of like the language within that purchase and sale agreement is what you want, right? So, and then you send that, and let's say you do get it under contract, then this is the time to reach out to those lenders, right? So local lenders. Now, if you are working with one lender, I wouldn't be wise to work with like two or three more. If you're working with an agent though, or a broker lender, right? And they're going to be shopping around for the best rates. That's ideal. You know, that's where you can get the best terms and the best rates. Is if you have that kind of middleman agent that's shopping around for those term sheets, right? So yeah, and I would also just keep refreshing financial terminology, right? I think I mentioned a good video on that too, of how to do your mortgage analysis, right, in an Excel spreadsheet. Basically just know the different offerings out there, difference, fixed rate, adjustable, right? Knowing what prepayment penalties are in place, right? What is your term? What is your amort? The different types of loans, conventional versus non-conventional. And for apartment buildings, obviously you have so many different types. You can go through HUD's program, you can go through the FHA. Obviously you have Fannie and Freddie agency loans, you have bridge debt, so many different types to just research and just know about, so that when you start to talk with your lender, you're more knowledgeable, and they recognize that, and they respect that too. So yeah, I would definitely just keep brushing up on those financial and banking terms for sure. And the last thing I would say through my day, I would just say, is just on-site tours. So if there were some properties that I scheduled a tour with to just scout out like the area and how that property is performing, then I would do those tours towards like the later afternoons, right? So maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock. I would say that's like the best time to do some tours. And then also just like neighborhood scouts, right? So if you're looking into that market, let's say it's local, for instance, let's say it's here in Philadelphia, and it's a sub market that you don't really know too much about. It's a good idea to just drive around, maybe get a quick bite there, just see how things are kind of activity wise, how it's performing, how buildings are being managed, the cleanliness of buildings. And then also just like the architectural perspective as well. Does properties in that area, do they fit? Like from a stylistic point of view, do they kind of like fit the theme of that town, right? So these are just great like mindsets to just like tap into on like an ongoing basis. And that's kind of like what my day consists of. And then when I get home, obviously, I'm probably either just gonna take some rest, maybe watch like a TV show, have some lunch or dinner, and then make sure that I'm still in that kind of repetitive mindset, But still, I think it's good to just stay open, because when you do get kind of niche down into just like one group, it kind of limits your thinking capability if you don't venture out into other asset classes. Now, albeit don't like consider just investing right away into an asset class, do that research. So that's what I occupy my time. So I have my niche market that I love to invest in and do activity and be more as an active investor in. And then for my passive side, I would definitely just do more research, become more knowledgeable about, like, let's say industrial, in retail, or even like the office sector, right? So those sectors I don't have too much knowledge about. And when it comes time to evaluating an opportunity, you're well equipped to underwrite that thoroughly. So that's that. And then obviously I have kind of a life outside of this, right? So if there's some type of occasion or something, then I'd go to that. Some sports game, right? So Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers. Now, albeit the Eagles are where I'm from, but I'm actually a Steelers fan. So don't hate me, Philly fans. I'm sorry about that, but still rooting for the Eagles this week. So go Birds. That'll be probably the first time I say that all year, but go Birds. Yeah. And then so yeah, that's that. And then I also just if I'm in the city, obviously, it's great to just network, like go to some networking events, find some local people who have been doing business there for a while and just learn from them, like that's the most important thing. And once you're kind of in that kind of life, like I call it the CRE life, right? It's really enjoyable. I think it's you never stop thinking, I would say, is the main thing. You never stop thinking. You're always looking for that next opportunity. You're always evaluating another deal, and it's kind of it's kind of a fun life, So yeah, that's that. And then obviously for the next day, I would just like source some deals from like brokerage platforms, from Zillow, Realtor.com, whatnot, Redfin, whatever it may be. I just source like maybe 5 or 6 deals, and out of those, I narrow it down to 2 or 3 that I think, just based off of initial look, that I think would be like the best to evaluate. And then I start the next day, So obviously when you get into that due diligence process, it's more time focused. You're on that kind of ticking clock, and you have a lot of obligations and a lot of duties to perform, such as meeting with your attorney, making sure your legal docs are in place, meeting with like the title company, meeting with your insurance agents, right? And ultimately doing your property condition assessment with your inspection company too, right? So these are all responsibilities that are encompassed in commercial real estate, and for any due diligence process, it's vital. And especially if it's like ground up development, it's a whole nother ball game, right? So yeah, definitely. So that's kind of a day in the life. I would definitely say commercial real estate has kind of broadened like the relationship aspect, and I've got to meet like a lot of great brokers, lenders, developers, contractors, property managers, prop tech companies as well. So many different like sources and so many different people from backgrounds that it's really a pleasure to kind of learn about and hear their experiences. So yeah, definitely. And another big tip I would say is just podcasts. I love podcasts. I'm a podcast guy. So just love listening to some podcasts. And I also have one myself. So if you want to give that a listen as well, that's Sabani Real Estate. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was somewhat insightful as far as the typical life of a CRE entrepreneur, and kind of someone who wants to kind of thrive outside of the box and kind of grow and scale a larger corporation, and definitely, I think we're looking forward to it. And if you ever want to reach out, you can reach me on my number, my email. It's all in the description. So feel free to reach out. Thank you guys for watching.